Hey Off-White Coat listeners, it is my privilege to get to tell you about this sweet deal from our friends over at Picmonic. If you haven't heard about Picmonic, it is a fantastic picture-based mnemonic platform that can certainly help out any student. Most of the videos are around 2 minutes long and provide a quick and effective way to memorize material for any upcoming medical exam. It is extremely efficient. They have this search bar function where you can search playlists on general topics like renal to step 1 to step 2, or even first aid and other books. If you want to review the Picmonic for later, you can even make a playlist of your own. Picmonic even has this repetition algorithm that is spaced out according to your learning needs. This helps with increasing long-term retention and allows you to review the right information at the right time. One of my favorite functions is the quizzes that are associated with each Picmonic. I'll take the quiz first and then learn about the associated pictures and what facts I need to sharpen up on. Honestly, Picmonic is a fantastic tool, and if you use our code OFFWHITECOAT, you'll get 20% off. That's Off-White Coat with no spaces. So what are you waiting for? Make studying the easiest part of your day. Sign up with Picmonic and use Off-White Coat to save yourself some money. So welcome to the Off-White Coat podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Abney, and I'm joined on a special day today with Dr. Zeus and CC Thundaaa back at it again. This is the residency special. Oh, and we got our lovely Mary Beth in the building, holding it down always. But yes, so this is the residency special. So your actual rank list is in. Everything's in. So we got to talk about it. I had to bring you together so that these two people are really, really talented when it comes to manipulation or manifesting is the word. Manifesting.
Manipulation. You had it right the first time.
They know how to get a residency. Oh no, but this is a special day. Wanted to bring y'all together just because y'all know so much, and you can really, I think that it would really benefit just to get your opinions on this.
Mm-hmm. So everybody out there, close your ears and open your eyes.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to miss the knowledge we're about to just dump all over you.
Well said.
Yeah. So I guess the first one, like, what do you look for in a residency? Like, how did you pick a good one, and then how did you know when you were like in a bad one?
So people have always said you get an overall vibe of a program fairly quickly with interviewing with faculty. So I think, so your last question was like, how is it a good or a bad program? Initially, right off the bat, you're either vibing or you're not. So if you're not, I just automatically don't like the program. Other characteristics of programs that I looked for was location, kind of more on the West Coast, near family, fellowship opportunities, so if they have fellowships, and then just how the interview went. Was it good? Was it horrible? Did I laugh the whole time, or was I super serious?
Yeah, you talked to me about the, like, making sure to look into, like, which one of these residencies have, like, fellowship opportunities and everything like that. How do you look and make sure that, like, how did you determine which ones had the best opportunity?
So there's a website called Residency Explorer. So that's how I looked. It's free. So I used that primarily for all my research. So when I got interviewed at a program, you can go onto it. You can see how many categorical positions they have, how many of their positions go filled versus unfilled, which to me, if a program has many unfilled positions, I think that's a little bit of a red flag and not enough people ranked them because of some reason. It shows you usually their residents, like step 1 and step 2 scores, the averages of most of their residents, and then the breakdown of men, women, USMDs, USDOs, USIMGs, all of that.
You're making sure to look at that breakdown.
Yeah, I am.
She's getting paid the extra $1.
Because we love women doctors. We support women doctors on this podcast, and we believe they should make a penny more than male doctors.
Absolutely.
She's like, it better be more than a penny.
I know, $1, please.
How many places did you guys apply to?
196.
That's what I've heard. Like, you need to do at least, like, around, like, 150 to 200 or something, right?
So that's what everybody kind of says. That's what most schools kind of suggest. They tell you no less than 150 or 100, but the cutoff's pretty high up there. So after doing it, I found that I applied to places I wouldn't go to even if they offered me a seat and to take me out of the match, right? If they said, hey, you don't even have to go through the match, we'll take you tomorrow. You know, and when you're doing it, it seems like a great idea. Like, oh, I get to live. Oh, if I pick this place, I could live in Florida. I would love to live in Florida. What the hell would I do in Florida, man? That's just not for me. Or Boston or something like that.
You used to wear your cowboy hat in Florida.
I could, yeah. Yeah. On special occasions. But, you know, so I found myself doing that just to kind of pad the stats. And when it came down to it, you know, I ended up canceling, I'm not going to say numbers, but a lot of interviews, because when they finally did even offer an interview, I said, I don't even want to go there. Yeah. So it was a waste of money. So my suggestion to you is don't listen to that. Don't let them get in your head. Really be realistic. Pick the, I would say, 20 to 40 programs you realistically are invested in for whatever personal reasons you may have. And then just from there, just a couple shooters, you know, you got to shoot your shot at a couple, maybe include 10.
I think caveat to that is
addendum.
If depending on visa status, so like non-US IMGs versus US IMGs, we are both US IMGs, so that helps us a little bit. And your competitiveness of your application. Like in the end, everyone says one of the limiting factors to matching is financial. So if you can apply to 150 programs and you can still afford your rent and your groceries and your day-to-day life, then do it, I say, just to ensure that you match.
Yeah, the girl that she's in the sub with me, she applied to 236 programs and it was $6,000. Yeah.
Yeah, but some people can't like afford that. So that's their limiting factor. And
yeah, I know. I can't afford that. Somebody, we need to set up a Patreon. So I can't get,
GoFundMe.
Geez. Yeah. GoFundMe just so I can apply to the program. How do you pick out the top 40 or programs? Like, I find it hard enough just to like go through websites and everything, and I feel like even then I don't get a good like view of the actual place.
So I actually think if you're already talking about looking at sites, I think you're already kind of diving a little too deep. So I'm going to use you as a thought experiment. If you could pick a school, where would you go?
Just anywhere?
Just off the top of your head. Why would you like?
Just go to the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio State Buckeyes. There you go. Why?
Because I've grown up, like, my granddad has an Ohio State room. So that would, just be the epitome of family pride.
There you go. So you have family pride ties to that area.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to send your application to. So what would be your second choice?
My second choice. That's the problem. Because I'm in the year behind, I haven't been like looking through a million programs.
You don't have to. Just if you could go somewhere, right?
Oh, you're just saying pick a state or whatever?
Pick a state in the city.
Let's go to Texas, baby.
Okay, why Texas?
I'm following your footsteps. I'm going to the Texas Tech, baby.
There you go.
Give me the Red Raiders.
See, so that's
Put me down for that, 10.
So Texas, just because it's Texas, I would go there too. So that's not a bad way to categorize it as well. But so the point I'm getting at is you should literally just pick the places that one you want to live at for very specific reasons, like you have family there, significant others there, reasons to truly be there because they're going to ask you about them. And so, for instance, there were places we applied that we interviewed at, and all they care about is what are your true ties to the area. And so you pick places that you can build a strong case because they're gonna be comparing you against 200-300 other people they're interviewing. So you have to seem genuine, and those places that you pick give you the chance to be the most genuine, right? And it's going to be the easiest for you. Go ahead.
Would you suggest lying to them about like your little family story or something?
It depends how deep the lie goes.
Yeah.
So lying that, I have...
The word lie is very strong.
Yeah.
Or fabricate, whatever. Say we're going to California.
To cast an illusion.
We have nothing in California, but we really want to go there. And they're like, well, what ties you here? And we're like, well, should you say something?
It depends how far you're willing to carry that, right? They're not going to ask you to confirm it, but you have to go further than I have a second cousin.
Gotcha.
who lives there. And as long as you can make it legit, make it seem viable, make it seem like, you're either trying to get back to that area because that's where you grew up, you left, and, your extended family's there, despite your parents' career being in another state or whatever. I would do fabrication like that for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When I apply for like these rotations and everything, they're like, please give us a summary of why you want to come to this hospital. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, essentially when you come to these interviews, you have to put on a show. You've got to play the part.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from a city, so Peoria is a big city. Peoria? And the program director, straight up, first question he asked me, he was like, why on earth do you want to come live in the country? Mm-hmm. Explain this to me. He's like, I get other reasons why you want to come here, sure, but what is your reason?
You showed him a picture of Jesus in a cowboy hat?
On a horse.
Those were the other reasons. No, but I was like, I lived as an indoor child. We were always inside. We were always literally never outside as children. I was like, my family. Literally, so I lived in a cage, basically. I didn't, but I had a great childhood. But I said that we would visit our family in Montana all the time, and it's just open country. And ever since I went to Montana and rode horses there, I would ask my parents for a horse every Christmas. And we had a large backyard for the city, but we had a pool. And every Christmas morning I'd get up and I'd be like, oh my God, my horse is outside. And I'd go check the pool gate, and it was never tied up to the pool gate. And so I told him that, and I was like, I just cannot wait to have land, to have a big old house and a nice horse to ride. I mean, it is the truth. And
then they're like, yeah.
But they love that, and they don't want any bullshit from you.
She's so creative.
And what made
with her facades.
And what made it, I guess you could say, unique was that the person she was telling this story to, you told it to the director, and he said, holy cow, you sound just like the assistant program director.
And then he knocks on the wall and goes, hey, Drew, did you buy a horse and weren't you a city boy? And he was like, yeah. And they're all interviewing candidates at this time. And he's like, see, I told you, you guys are both nerds.
Just identical stories.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's how you build that connection with the program and everything.
Yeah, and you have to be open and upfront and not as timid. I feel like a lot of people will just be like, oh, well, I love Texas. Mm-hmm. And just leave it at that. I've always dreamed of going there. You need to build a story, I think.
And there's so many people they interview daily. Like, it's so many. You've got to stand out.
Yeah, and so to build on what she's saying too, or just to add the big picture here, is be yourself. Be yourself, and don't be afraid to tell them that you want a horse, in the backyard. And that is why you're wanting to go there, because, it's genuine, it's who you are. And, you can't be afraid of that, because honestly, I was me in all my interviews, and it got to the point that in one interview, the assistant program director, she completely stopped the interview and said, like, are you not having a good time in this interview? Or like, is something wrong? And literally called me out. And I looked at her back and said, I just don't get a good feeling from this program. Mm. And
she was like, that's a buzzkill in front of all these other students.
Yeah. But the reality of it is it's like, hey, we were at that mutual understanding that because I was myself, I was able to see that me and her just didn't get along. Me and her just didn't get along.
And it's really, you got to find the best match for you and for them.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah. You just have to be open with your quirks.
That's the thing.
You have to be fun.
Almost have to be quirky.
You do. And even our...
according to hospital policy, allowing.
Yes.
So
yes.
Definitely lead with according to hospital policy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You should look up their program and find out what their mission statement is, and then work on that from there. Yeah. So I have lived in Georgia most of my life, but I always like to explore other places and stuff. So I don't want to, I'm sure that, I would want to go to like an Emory or something, like a place that's closer to me. But also I kind of want to go live somewhere else for 4 years and then go live. So it's really hard to sell that, but I'm going to have to say I want a horse.
Yeah, you got to make that choice based on your hobbies, right?
Yeah.
So if you're from Miami and you don't want to stay in Miami, but you like mountain biking and snowboarding, then you probably should apply to places like Colorado. Vermont.
I'm just a country boy that wants to learn how to snowboard.
Exactly, and tell them that. And it'll be genuine.
Yeah, I have to do that. Take me home, Boulder.
Take me home, Boulder.
Dude, yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be mad at that. Colorado out here is beautiful. When you do an interview, do you ever like follow up with like an email or like do you ever reach back out to them?
I've seen people write thank you letters.
Yeah.
Like, is that too much?
So I think a lot of people do that.
Which one? The email or the thank you letters?
Either or.
Oh, okay.
I think now traditionally I feel like a lot of people tend to do emails. This was one thing that I was always asking. I was like, should we send one? Should we not? Should I? I don't know. This and that. People say this.
There's no way you do.
Well, my response was
no.
my response was a thank you letter. Just email them. You're welcome.
So
with
no.
your contact info at the
You
bottom.
would be the only one that sent that. That might actually, that's how you win right there.
Referring to the interview we had yesterday. You're welcome.
Yeah. The one where I said, I'm not really proud of this program.
AAMC ID attached.
But no, we did not send any thank you.
Oh, okay.
I think they just get there's so many that they get. And if you wow them in your interview, you really don't need to send a thank you, because it's after every interview, I genuinely thank them. If I'm enjoying myself, I thank them for inviting me to the interview. I tell them how much of a good time I had. And if they need more, they're insecure. Mm-hmm. So,
and they'll always call.
Yeah.
If you really wooed them, they always call.
That goes for past medical school too.
Your voice
That's
hit like
for
2
life.
octaves lower when you were saying. Did you
This
ever,
is
like,
not a dating podcast. This is a medical show.
Somebody's gonna be taking up residency in the house. No. But yeah. So, did you ever reach out to the programs before or anything, like trying to
letter of interest and stuff like that? Honestly, those we didn't do it. But had I not gotten the interviews I wanted, then I would have.
Yeah, like after,
because it's very beneficial. So this is the thing. This is one thing. One of the Palm Crit attendings I was rotating with said is everyone is qualified, right? Everyone went to school. Everyone took step 1. Everyone took step 2 and submitted an application. So you guys are all qualified, right? Mm-hmm. But they have 6,000 applications. So their job isn't finding the qualified applicant. It's finding the applicant that wants and needs to be there. And let's be real, there's no program director that's reading 6,000 personal statements. So one program director was very honest with us. He says, "Hey, glad you guys are here, but I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. This was random, right? Once you are or have been randomly selected, then we really read your personal statements, because it's doable at that point. So you have to reach them so that they can find you in the crowd." And so that you were the one not random person. So like, for instance, if you're from Georgia and you applied to Georgia and you still haven't heard back, well, they're still in the random part of their selection process. So if you email them a letter of interest and say, "Hey, I'm very interested in your program. I was born in Georgia. I lived here in Georgia. Mm-hmm. My mom went to Georgia. I went to Georgia," then that will greatly boost your chances of going there. But if you're just going to make stuff up and send one to your top 10 programs, then I don't recommend that, because they'll sniff it out.
Yeah, I agree. I literally was thinking the same thing. Like, if there was something else, that's the best advice, I could think of is if you're not getting the place you really, really want to go to, then. But yeah, I'm not filling out cards with my pictures on them. That's tough. That's a lot of, I'm going to make my best to it. The thing is, I don't take a good enough photo to be putting in a little card to be given to somebody. It's just awkward then. They're like, "Who's this guy?" Mm-hmm. I forgot this guy interviewed. But yeah, do you speak to like the previous residents and everything when you're doing these?
Yeah, we almost too much. I think this is a con of virtual interviewing is usually the night before you have a meet and greet with the residents. So no faculty are there, but it's usually you and 10 other applicants with a few of the residents. It is all of the same questions that you can usually always find online or you'll come across on interview day. So you meet with them, and it is nice to get a general vibe of the residents. Usually then on interview day, you also meet with the residents again. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a little bit repetitive, but most of the time, they're all very nice. They speak very highly of all of their programs. All of the ones I interviewed at, all the residents supposedly loved their program.
That's the tough thing is they always say they love the program.
That's what I wanted to ask because, like, I worked in a job and we would interview people, and we were like, the majority of us doing the interviews hated working there. But we had to tell them that, like, we loved it to fill that position in order to, like, one, make our lives easier, and then two, so that we could, like, leave easier. Yeah. And so that's always scary, like, when they all say the same thing over and over, because it's like, are you telling the truth, really, or...
Yeah, and most of it is they're just like, yeah, they are really nice to us here. Like, they don't pimp us. The food is kind of bad, but other than that, we really like it.
You get free coffee.
Yeah.
Also, on a point you guys touched on is don't take everything they say too serious. You got to take it with a grain of salt. And also, you have to realize that they are you, or were you, and now are you in 1 year from now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like they're not any higher on the totem pole. There really is no difference between you guys other than 8 months, And here's an example. We just so happened that me and Sierra were in the same interview for this time, and we were in this Zoom room, and there's all the other applicants, and the two residents are talking to us, and they're third years, and they're talking like about the perks and just like acting super cool, acting like they were chiefs, talking about going out, all the things they do, they hang out, the nurses, which they treat with the utmost respect, go out with them, or a night on the town where they respectfully treat them to dinner. And they were just having this type of conversation with everybody because one of the students asked, what is there to do, at night there for fun? And so, they were kind of feeding...
Like grab a couple nurses and hit the bar.
Respectfully. And so they kind of were having that... They kind of took it there. And so I'm like, these guys don't look like that guy. Like, you're not that guy. And so I unmute my mic and I just look straight into the camera and I say, so where did you rank this program on your list? And both of them just got quiet. And they're, your reaction was all across that Zoom page. Like all this, like everyone sat up and said, this mother.
But that's a good question, I feel like. Is that
okay,
like...
wait until you hear the answer. One guy said, it was like 4 or 5 on my list. He kind of was like, his tone changed a little bit. And then the other guy, the guy that was really, really soaking up the gas that the student had poured on his fire about going out and everything. This is the interesting one because he was the one going off about the fun things to do. He says, I'm going to be real with you guys. I actually didn't match here. I didn't match, so I had to soap, and this is who took me.
Well, I mean, I guess he's living it up in the...
Well, he's living it up now. But the point is like, how many residents in all our interviews were that guy?
Yeah.
It's like painting a picture of success, when in reality... the worst case scenario happened to them.
Yeah. Did you just ask them that question because they were kind of being tools? Or did you ask several of your interviews that? Because that is like a very telling question, I feel like, but very ballsy.
I only pulled it out for the tools. I left it in my pocket, and I did, because it's like, come on, man. You're not that guy. You were as anxiety-ridden as every other student in here, so don't bully them.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
If I'm not bullying them, you can't bully them.
Yeah, we're all just trying to make it through to the other end of the fence. So,
exactly.
I don't... Yeah. I definitely don't understand why there's a different gap.
I got the benefit of interviewing with him the next day, because that was at the resident meet and greet. So then he interviewed me personally the next day, and he was not as nice to me.
He was like...
why do you want to come here?
No. Why do you...
Yeah, he was not intrigued with anything I had to say, and he was very, very standoffish.
Because of what Hayes had said the day before? Mm-hmm. You guys were in the same interview?
In the same Zoom thing and the same interview the next day.
It was casual. Resident meet and greets, if you ever go to one and it's not in person, it is super casual. I would go in scrubs, I would go in a t-shirt, and we would always drink wine or beer or whatever. It is supposed to be relaxed. It's okay. Like, we're all over 21. Just enjoy yourself as much as you possibly can.
Because, I mean, you have to get to know these people as your colleagues. Because that's the thing is, while they might be interviewing you, it's literally one step below you being in that exact same position. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be there. So the more relaxed and chill you make yourself, the better, the more fun they'll actually have. They're like, another 275 that doesn't know how to socialize.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that stinks, and it's very telling, like, how he acted the day before and the day after. I bet you guys probably didn't rank them after that.
They're actually not on my rank list.
Exactly.
Fresno, if you're hearing this.
I was gonna say.
See, I picked it because it was close to my family. I'm like, is it the best program? Absolutely not. But, it's close enough to family that if I had to pick a place out of my 196, I'm like, sure, But if you're listening to this, Fresno,
do better.
Do better.
You can send me an interview application. And some money for the podcast.
My name is Jordan Abney, and I will be applying next year.
But go ahead. This is also the same program that the program director, when I got there and we had 5 minutes of conversation, he mid-interview stopped and said, listen, hey, let's just get right to it. Do you want to come here? And I said, I applied here. It just became.
Start sweating.
It just became. I was like, well, I applied here, and then he goes, "But do you want to come here?" And I go, "Yep." And then he listed off all the things he liked about my application and about me, and then he goes, "I can make it happen." He's like, let's have a serious conversation." And then he proceeded to say, because for those of you who don't know, we coupled in this match. Right? So that's a strategy to get more interviews, right? So if I got an interview that she perhaps didn't get, then I would ask them, hey, can she get an interview? Mm. And she would do the same for me. So it it increases the chances of you getting interviews. This was one of the places where we got an interview. She got an interview too. And they always know you're coupled to this person. And so he got right to the point. He basically got to the point and said, hey, we want you, but we need you to uncouple.
Oh,
and you're like,
he's like, we really want you. He's like, but, would you be opposed to uncouple, if it came to it?
Oh, so dirty.
So, dude, literally such a low blow, right? And so then I said, well, it's something I'd have to talk about with loved ones, so I'll have to get back to you.
We heard you were engaged, but at the same time, this girl came in here talking about horses, so... is there any way that you can uncouple?
She's out.
Completely get rid of
And so long story short is if you're just yourself and, call people on stuff, you'll realize that I don't need to go to this toxic program.
Yeah, that's strange to ask for an uncoupling. Was there ever a situation where, I guess you had said, where you asked the other where you used that to flip to get more interviews?
Yeah, so literally a lot of our interviews came about that way. She'd ask, I'd ask, but on the other side of that coin, right? Check this out. One program director's asking, are you willing to uncouple? While for another program, we're sitting there discussing the possibilities of getting ranked at this program with the program director, in which she brings up, she says, I don't want to impede the ranking process. I know how much he wants this place. We're going to unmatch. He stopped her mid-sentence. He said no. He said, you guys don't need to do that. If I want him, then I'm taking you, whether I want you or not. He's like, that's just how it's going to work. If I rank you 1, she gets 2, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, she gets ranked where you get ranked. Or if I want her, you get ranked where she gets ranked. Mm-hmm. And so, it's one of those things that not everyone is going to be like that guy.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Not everyone's going to be like the second program director either. Mm-hmm. So you really have to just don't try and conform to what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Find what you fit in.
I feel like any time you can get that FaceTime, whatever you do to secure the FaceTime or where you can sell yourself, is what you need to do. Flip it however it needs to be so that they actually get to look at you. Because like you were saying, there's a lot of random numbers out there. And so you got to stand out somehow. And it definitely helps some people, I'm sure it's helped y'all. Yeah, I'm sure it's helped. Well, we'll see once the match hits. We don't want to speak too early. No, just playing. So when you get this FaceTime and everything, how do you handle these interviews, or like how do you stand out?
So it's definitely something you have to practice. I remember early on in the interviews, you're like really serious and you're just focused on the school. You don't know where to go. You're too scared to branch out and be yourself. But what I came to realize that the most successful interviews were the interviews that I didn't focus on the program or, tried to sell my interest in the program. And we really focused on trying to find something I have in common with that person. So when I'm finished learning medicine from you and we're able to talk like human beings, what are we going to talk about? So you try and find that one thing you have in common that like gives them a glimpse into your personality or just something you both have an interest in. And don't be scared to just branch out like that. Like for instance, one cool story was with Sierra, if maybe she'll share it, about Dr. Nichols.
Yeah, so when I was in my interview, we had chatted about the program, about my application. So he generally asked me a few questions. And then he was just like, well, what do you want to know about West Texas? Like, you're not from here. What is he telling you? And what do you want me to confirm? Or what do you want me to tell you? I was like, I heard there's good country music and good country concerts there.
Yeah.
And he, of course, me being a city girl, he kind of rolled his eyes. He's like, well, yeah, I mean country. And I was like, no, like West Texas country. And I popped off a few names. And he was like, oh, shit. Those are some of my favorites. He was like, yeah, actually me and my wife go to this one. And I was like, oh, and there's one more artist I can't think of right now. And I was like, he serenades me to it all the time. And I started singing it. And
you started singing?
So I started singing in my interview.
Well, he asked how it went. She goes, I don't know the name of the song. And he goes, well, how does it go? He just completely asked her to sing it then.
Yes, he's like, so how does it go? And I don't even know. And so I just kind of started singing it, and he gave me this serious look, and he was like, that was literally my wedding song.
Get out of here.
And you're like, bingo.
I was like, well, I mean, I'm lucky enough, every morning.
You fail for not remembering it, sir. But
but yeah, so that was like, it was really cool because then I felt like he suddenly had this mutual respect for me. He's like, holy crap. Okay.
And then he heard you sing and he was like,
yeah.
I'll let it pass.
Yes, exactly.
For the courage, but might keep her on the back burner because she's not that good.
But yeah, like when you're yourself, I was always goofy during my interviews, and I don't know.
I want to know, so you said your weirdest question was what, like,
kitchen
appliance you would be. But what was yours? Weirdest question out of all your interviews? Do you know?
My weirdest question?
Yeah.
Now that I look back, I didn't get any of those.
Really? Mm-mm. So you basically had the general questions?
I had the general questions. Yeah.
I'll give you one right now. You ready?
They see, the thing is we would get so lost in conversation that they probably, I lucked out and we never made it to it.
Manifestation.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll get to that at the very end. That'll be the way we end it.
The weird question. Here's my interview, so no time to think about it.
No time.
This is going to be my interview answer. Okay.
But before you do these interviews and everything, do you look up the program? Like, what all do you look up? And do you like prep? Do you like talk out what you're going to say?
I mean, it really depends what program, I would say. Most programs the day or the week before will send you like a quick PowerPoint slide or PDF of their overview of the program. And honestly, that's good enough. Also, programs will give like a 30 to an hour long overview of their program. And if you are paying attention, you will know as much as you would like to know.
I think you were the one that sent me the Snapchat video that was like they've been playing this video for 3 hours or something.
That was Fresno.
Oh, that was so great because there was like music in the background. Everybody was like hugging.
And we all had to have our cameras on, and we were just sitting there for 4 hours in the lobby of the Zoom call. Horrible.
Yeah. Do you kind of plan out what you're going to go with as your quirky thing? Because it's hard for me to imagine that you wouldn't be. Because these two are very, very smart. I feel like they're not going to.
That has to be on the spot. Like, you guys don't just plan, well, I'm going to sing to them that day, and then I'm going to.
I feel like she does. She's like, I'm about to bust it.
But do you guys practice did you guys practice interview questions together? Or, like, look them up? For jobs, I look them up on Google, like, and then I practice with, like, my dad or whoever, you know. You guys never did that?
I did. So for the first, one, I was so nervous because I was over here thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to drill me. They might even ask me a medical question. They might ask me a political question. What in the world am I going to answer? Like, I was so nervous. And I practiced with him for a while. And then once I had that one interview done, and then once I also listened to him interview as well. And then all of a sudden it just all came together. And I don't think I ever prepared for one except my number one choice. That was one that we went over the night before and several days in advance, over and over again. Also in my head, I thought about it all day long to see what I was going to say. But then the interview went nothing like I had planned. So then you just kind of have to vibe with them. And
it always happens like that. I feel like that's why you have to send out the 190 interview or the 190 applications, because sometimes you got to work through a couple of low-hanging fruit before you can jump for the big kill. You know, if you're just going off, you would be like a baby deer, just fumbling around. You don't want to do that. You want to be coming in crisp, clean, knowing exactly what you're doing. And I feel like that's the one benefit to applying to a bunch of places. Because even if you're not going to go, you tighten up.
You have practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got a couple tune-up interviews in there.
Yeah, you got to get a couple tune-up games. You can't go in there just...
Reserve those for the HCAs. HCAs, you schedule those early.
Yeah.
Those are your tune-up games.
100%.
Fresno, I'm coming for you.
Fresno, yeah. Book it early. Get your tune-ups out of the way. But I will say, she prepared. Yeah, I winged it.
But you have more of gift of gab. I have it, but I also have, dyslexia. So it's a little different for me.
She thinks they're going to ask a medical question and he holds up a math problem. My kryptonite.
No, my kryptonite is sound this word out.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, wait, I don't know how to sound words out. Sorry.
Jesus says, what color is this?
Yeah. Whoa.
Jokes on her. I'm not colorblind.
I knew it!
She's been convinced this whole time.
I knew it!
She breaks out that little book.
So, just for whoever's still listening,
My dad is.
My dad will be too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul.
Yeah.
So for whoever's still listening, if you have an interview, this is the only one all season that made me work. Because all of them, you ask me a question, I'm swinging. Right. But this is the one that kind of stunned me. I had to speak a little slower, just speak slow enough that I'm able to think a sentence ahead.
Yeah. It was that little face jab.
Just that. Yes. And so I get to the program director and I'm just sitting there and I'm about to, I'm just waiting for him to start the interview. He's like, I'm just going to finish. Okay. All right. Closes his binder and he goes, ask away. And he just sat.
Wait, he says that to you?
He says that to me.
Oh, okay.
He just says, ask away. He goes, I read your personal statement. I read your letters of recommendation. I looked at your scores. I know enough about you. Mm-hmm. Ask away. What do you need to know about the program? What do you need to know about me to know if you want to come here or not? So that one threw me off because now it's like, do you have 20 minutes worth of questions?
Oh, 20 minutes.
I had 20 minutes with this guy and he says, what do you want to know? And I didn't know where to go. Like, what's your favorite, if you had to pick a kitchen appliance, which one would you,
What animal would you be?
No.
I was going to ask you guys that. Like, what kind of questions did you guys come up with? Because I know, like, it's important for regular interviewers. Like, when I go through jobs, like, it's recommended that you ask the job certain questions too. So I'm only assuming that it would be the same for...
You can't just ask how much you're going to make.
Yeah.
That's usually my
What kind of benefits am I going to make?
Okay, I actually think we were really, we were hard on them.
I think that it's fair.
Because you don't know how many times I got a program director be like, do you have any questions? Please don't ask me about research opportunities. Because it's all the same shit. Hey, how many research opportunities?
And they have to be like, yeah, we have so much here. So much.
Or I'm always thinking about the patient and people out there who are underserved and what can I do in your community, or what do you do in the hospital do in the community to help those in need? And
he starts to introspectively go nothing.
Well, yes. Yeah. So just scratch those if you are writing those out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine were, I would ask them like what their pet peeve was, like what pisses them off. And how
for a patient or for
just
a resident?
anything in life.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, what pisses you off at home? Which is weird to ask. But then I was like, but what pisses you off in the hospital? Like, what could I do when I'm your resident that will just piss you off?
Because I will do it.
Yeah. And then I'm like, how are you going to treat me after?
Yeah.
I was like, do you need 24 hours and then can we talk? Or how are you going to handle this?
Because usually people give that information too. Like they'll be like, oh, this really, really frustrates me. And, you can tell.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. So I would do it in a way that I like planting subconscious seeds. So like one of the ones I would
manipulation. Manifestation.
Manifestation. So
full circle.
Yeah. So one thing I would ask them is like, are you a good writer? And they would just, they didn't like, what do you mean by a writer? Like, what's your writing style? Like, are you a creative writer? Do you like...
Like the APA format.
No, I meant rider, like a horse rider.
Writer, yeah, like I mean like a paper, like I know. And so you intro with that, so they're kind of like, oh, I don't really do a lot of writing, and I'm like, okay, because in 3 years I'm going to ask you to write me a letter of recommendation, and I want to know if it's going to be personable. Are you going to get to know me, and what kind of things you're going to talk about, or are you going to stick to my academic performance? And so then I'm planting a subconscious seed. He already accepted me in his mind to answer this question.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So the second time he thinks it, like I laid down the neuronal framework. The next time he thinks about it, when my application comes up, then that's 2 times those neurons fire. So I'm subconsciously planting that seed. So it's like, hey, what kind of writer are you? What kind of letter of recommendation are you going to write me? And then I segue into, will you still be here to write that letter of recommendation? Because I don't want a program director, I don't want you to have these plans to leave on year 2, and then I'm trying to land a fellowship with a program director who doesn't know me, and I need his letter of recommendation. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when they do leave due to retirement or, unhappiness into the program, they leave the program in shambles. Mm-hmm. And then piggybacking off that topic, that's if it's like the program director. If it's like the APD or the second APD, you know what I mean? Because some places have 2 APDs.
Say it for Scott and Paul. They're the only 2 people that are listening that aren't going to be actually applying to residency.
Yeah. So one thing I'll ask.
But they'll be supporting your butts.
Yeah. Yes.
Or just explain what the APD is.
APD, Assistant Program Director. Yeah. So you have the program director, the person 1 or 2 below him are also APDs, just depending on the size of the program. But the point is I would ask them, it's like, so are you ambitious? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, are you content just being a program director, or do you see yourself gunning for the program director's spot?
Are you trying to go into the presidency?
Well, what you're kind of doing is you're kind of stirring the pot with this question.
Yeah.
It's like, are you asking me if I'm gonna gun for my program director? Or if I say yes, then I seem ambitious and perhaps you like that. But if I say no, then I'm admitting to just being complacent and not a go-getter.
Yeah.
And so you stir the pot and you put them in awkward situations that they remember your questions.
Yeah, he's like, man, now I've got a gun now. You're like, if your gun's not loaded, mine sure is.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
We're in Texas, baby.
We're in Texas.
I will say, you guys bring like a major curveball. Like, it's major. You guys have done a really good job of making sure you stand out. You know, especially coming from like a Caribbean med school and stuff. That's one things that you really have to do. And if you're not going to have the big name school, then you have to, like you said, the triangle have the headshots or the scores.
Yeah, like the school name, scores, and headshots. Like you have to have 2 to rank.
Yeah.
Like highly. So if you have a good headshot, like you only need one or the other, like a good school or good scores.
Yeah, well,
if you have all 3, you're
good for you. Yeah. Good for you.
We don't all have that.
Yeah.
But you guys have done good, like making sure you stand out, like in your personal statements. I'm sure your like CVs. Is that what they're called?
The hobbies. Listen to this.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to ask me my hobbies?
Yeah, what do you do for fun?
So on the weekends, you know, I did basic, you know, I like exercising. Sure. We'll knock that one right off. Then I love to play lawn games because I'm competitive and I love to enjoy friends. So
I was going to say, most of those involve drinking beer.
Yeah, so I literally put lawn games. Then I put, I think I put dog training, you know, because Cooper is
yes and no.
trained. Yeah. And then I put like charcuterie board making.
Creative.
He's like, this girl loves the party.
And then
exactly.
I put little pickling and gardening. So like pickling and canning, making pickles.
Canning pickles, yeah. Okay.
But you can pickle other things.
Yeah, so you can pickle like asparagus,
okra,
jalapenos.
What am I thinking of? Pig's feet. Yeah.
The guy running from second to third.
But I also so like they talked about.
I was just lost. I was like,
I was waiting.
About something completely off. Yeah. So wait. And you pickle, and then you said
gardening,
the last one was gardening.
Yeah. Well, I said that's a future hobby of mine.
Oh, I need to break that out. Like, I would love to hike in the future.
Yeah.
No, you gotta
exercise in the future.
You gotta pick an expensive one. Pick a very expensive one and say future hobby.
Sailing.
Water polo. Yeah. Sailing. Like something that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be high status.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean by future hobby? It's like, well, I gotta make what you make first.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that one really is true. But
that's true. Yeah, I can't do a lot of the hobbies.
What do you put your hobbies on like your resume?
There's a section.
There's just a little section for it, but everyone always has the same. They like exercising. They do hiking. They like.
That's essentially all we have time to do.
Yeah, and so
exercise and sleep.
Everyone was always like, "So what's your favorite cheese?" Or like, because I put charcuterie board, they're like, "What's your go-to cheese and meat then?"
Gouda.
So, Gouda's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Gouda. Prosciutto.
Mm-hmm. And you run out of cheeses. You're like, there's the yellow one and the orange one.
American cheddar.
Yeah.
You gotta you definitely gotta be good at all this.
Yeah.
What were your hobbies?
Mine were like super basic. I'm a guy and
You don't want to make charcuterie boards?
Yeah. See, that's where I had to just kind of pick stuff that wasn't so basic, especially with the personal statement I chose. You know, it really spoke to me being from the country and like my upbringing and the things I was able to do with what I was taught living on a farm, you know. Mm-hmm. So I just
could actually say that you did horse riding. That's a hobby.
Yeah, so I put like team roping, you know, heading and heeling. So like not every people ride horses, but you know, do they team rope? You know, like this is a real hobby. What I'll do is I'll pick up scrap metal. So when I take the scrap metal, I'll find pieces and I will weld people grills out of these scraps.
That's cool.
So you have like these cool barrels or tanks that I find, and I just cut a hole out, make a flap, just weld an exhaust pipe out of it, and then I turn it into a smoker for family.
I don't think that is basic at all. I think you might have been the only person, or there's like 3 other people that put that.
But it's
I get you.
But it's super. To me, it's like, dang it, man! I got to put that. Like, you know, I find scraps and weld grills out of stuff. You know, I put literally anything, man. I will take crate pallets, you know, that people just throw away. and build you lawn chairs out of them. And just that's just part of that's just being a medical student, and you don't have money to go buy some. You can't buy everyone a gift for Christmas or their birthday. So it's like when I see stuff, I'll get it, I'll polish it off, weld it, clean it up, personalize. I'll put a plaque with their name or like their brand welded on there.
Yeah, move over, George Foreman.
Exactly. And so that's the kind
Zeus is coming in.
That's the kind of stuff I included.
Dude, oh, that's nice though.
That's a good one.
I could be like, I recycle, future recycler. Yeah,
that's a hobby.
that is my hobby. I do recycle. I separate the trashes. No,
you live a fun life.
I do have a podcast. Did these residencies? How did they tell you that they liked you?
What were the subtle cues?
What are the subtle cues?
How did they flirt with us? Is what you're asking.
Yeah.
What was the flirting like? Is what you're asking.
How did they manifest you?
It's hard to tell when you're couple matching how they're flirting with you.
And then they're like, you need to uncouple.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tell. That's a good tell.
Yeah, I got dumped many times through this cycle. Let's just say that.
You mean they passed on the charcuteries?
Yeah, they were like, we want a grill. We
don't want meat and cheese.
What are these two people trying to do? Have a lawn party out here?
Like
grilling the meat and cheese?
The program director. Right?
Honestly, it's a package deal. You'll bring the charcuterie. He can grill up something, and then you guys can play long games all the same time.
We did have a program director tell me, he was like, dang.
I interviewed first, right?
He interviewed first.
A few days earlier.
And he was like, well, dang, I really like you. He was like, I like you so much, but you're coupled. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we could get rid of him though. Like, kidding. Because he was actually one of the most laid back program directors. We were really shooting the shit the whole time. And he was like, okay. He's like, no, tell me about him. So I was like, well, he was, you interviewed him yesterday. He was the guy. He has nice hair. And he was like, I don't know. And then I was like, team roping. And he's like, oh, gosh. He's like, nope, we can't get rid of him. And I was like, yeah, I figured. But he did promise me
you
that.
You just said team roping, and he was like,
oh, yeah, he teared up, was like, okay. He was like, I will promise you, though, if I rank you, I'll always give you 1 point higher because I know that it must be hard to follow in his shoes.
Oh,
stop!
My
yes. So,
and this is why women are paid less.
Yes, this is why I want $1 more, please.
Yeah,
but on this podcast, we support and love women doctors, and we believe women doctors should get paid what real doctors make, and women doctors should make $1 more than normal doctors.
It was a penny at the beginning of this podcast.
Suddenly, it might be $5 at the end.
Yes. We're working
Bring on tequila. Bring some more.
We're working for wages, for women wages. Did you use any resources to look up where to apply to or anything? Like, did you...
We did Match a Resident, I believe. Honestly, I would not recommend it to anyone. I think it was like $75 for the whole season. It gave no valuable information to me. It was like, it was advertised as if it would tell you the interview questions, tell you this, tell you that. And, to be honest, I don't care about the interview questions as long as you know how to answer them. So I wouldn't waste my money on that. I honestly used Residency Explorer. It's free. It's through ERAS. You type in your stats. It tells you if you're in the bottom 25% of their residents, the middle of their residents, or like 75th percentile of their residents with scores and all of that. So I liked that. My go-to is Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit is the...
It's honestly toxic and not true, but it is entertaining.
All right. Since obviously you're bringing a lot to the couple match game, you honestly made me think that I need to find someone with a high step score and just play that card strong.
Well,
it sounds good, right?
Honestly,
so if anybody's
it really
listening with a high step score that wants to help me out with some interviews, please reach out at the Off-White Co podcast. We have an Instagram. But what do you wear to your interview? Like the big time interviews with the program director. Do you just go scrubs?
No.
I know. I'm just asking you.
I seriously
I'm
thought
leading
you were...
you up.
This is for Paul and Scott.
Yeah. They think you're wearing scrubs now, so yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go buy a suit.
You gotta ball out. Because I promise you, we can all tell. But
you don't need to buy fancy pants, but you do need to buy a fancy top.
I told you before, and it's the unfortunate truth of the match and the residency process, is it is limited by finances.
Yeah.
So if you can ball out and afford a good suit, get one. Because it looks good.
And also, this is the most underrated thing. This is what made you look way different and way better than the other people on Zoom, because, like, let's be real. Like, you're sitting in Zoom and you're sizing everyone up. You're like, that guy looks like he literally is sitting in the corner of his room. Like, he has a Zelda poster a little bit to the left. I'm sure of it. You know? It's a ring light.
I was about to say, if he has the ring, if you weren't going to bring it up, then I was going to bring it up.
Get a ring light, get a microphone, get a camera, you know, like make it look like your job is to just be online, you know, giving podcast shows, like have the boom in front of you, but like have it not take things, you know, have it not take from the picture. Like let them see a microphone. Like this guy has a microphone. The lighting is so nice. Like the program director she was referring to, right? The one who was like, oh God, that guy, right?
Yeah.
Dude, the moment the cameras came on, he literally like was like, who dressed you today? And I was like, well, unfortunately my mom is no longer around, so I had to dress myself. Like, I didn't do too bad, did I? He's like,
he went straight into slang.
Dude, he goes, the suit, the power tie, the lighting. He goes, what do you do? And I'm like, I study.
I wake up and just piss excellent.
Yeah. This is mane and tail.
Literally.
Mane and tail.
So point is, you know, he was blown away by the detail, right? The backdrop was nice, the lighting. It just make sure you don't just show up.
Yeah.
Show up prepared.
No, that's the best way. I mean, you definitely got to go. You got to go ready to go. All right. You ready to wrap this thing up? We got one more. We got one final question.
One final question.
And this is going to be, thought of it just a second ago.
Okay, so I got to go into my interview mode.
Yeah, you got to go in. Start talking with the slang again.
So interview mode.
I'm just a good old Texan boy. That was like an old lady accent.
I'm just a good old Texas man. All right. What flavor of ice cream would you be?
I already know my answer. So, I would be vanilla.
That was mine!
Plain.
Hold on. Okay, no. This is okay. So now,
but I work good in a Neapolitan.
Now it's the reasoning. Why? So this is where we're going to see the difference. So it's okay that you're going to be vanilla.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's
exactly.
great.
Why
Who's going to sell vanilla better?
Exactly. Why vanilla? Tell me why.
Sell me that pencil.
First.
Oh, you want me to go first?
You already answered, so I thought you were going to say your whole thing.
So the reason I would pick vanilla is he's asked, you know, if you could be an ice cream flavor, what flavor would you be? I would look at the program director and say, I would be vanilla, because it is the fundamental core to just about any other ice cream you could have. It's adaptable. It's good by itself, but it's good with other things. It just works well with everything. You can have it in a shake. You could have it by itself. You could have it in a sundae. You could have it in a smoothie. You can literally turn vanilla into any dessert you want. So it is the perfect backbone to build the perfect dessert.
What's yours?
I'd like to think of myself as a nice chocolate, because I got a little bit more soul than the rest of the people at this place.
That's true.
And because I taste fantastic, and if you got a sweet tooth, I go good in your mouth.
Okay. Clearly, Jordan has not been in interview season.
I gotta tighten that baby up, Fresno.
Fresno, hire this man. That's funny.
I was like, I can't go vanilla, which is a good fundamental, so I have to go outside of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I like a good crunch, you know. So I'm cookie dough now. I'm changing.
the dough is soft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the crunch?
The chocolate chip crunch.
Yeah, I'm chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay.
I got crunch and a gooey center.
We're still waiting for Cece's answer.
Well, I mean, honestly, the vanilla, I was going to say the same thing. I was like, you could add chocolate sprinkles to it. You could add fudge to it. You could actually make you could make chocolate out of vanilla. You could make strawberry out of vanilla. But then you can just go right down to its core and be vanilla.
Well, but this has been a lot of fun. Hopefully somebody has picked up some residency tips. I know that it was good for me because obviously I got to work on my question answering. I wasn't expecting to be asked the question back at me. I thought I was doing the questioning here. But yeah, so thank y'all. And we out of here.
Peace.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hey everyone, I want to take this time to tell you about our friends over at TrueLearn. They have this top-of-the-line test bank that is perfect for any upcoming board exams that you may have. They have test banks for all types of exams. So whether you're studying for medical school, nursing school, OT, pharmacy, and others like speech pathology, TrueLearn is the way to go. If you're like me and going through medical school, they have question banks for all the big exams, like Step 1, Step 2, and Step 3, with quality assessments for each exam. Look, I know we didn't go into healthcare because we love taking tests. This is the hard part of the job. Make it easy on yourself with TrueLearn. Sign up now with the code OFFWHITECOAT to get $25 off your purchase. That's OFF WHITECOAT, no spaces, to get $25 off your purchase. This is a test bank that you do not want to pass up on. Make this easy on yourself. Take the deal, pass your boards, and get back to enjoying the reason you went into healthcare. And make sure to use Off White Coat when you pick it up.